Have you been minding your business, cousin? We're gonna find out. Okay? Peace, family. I'm your host, Guruji Chastity. And today we are going to talk about, or let me say, continue to talk about the proper way to manifesting. But honestly, I'm hitting it from a different perspective. Last week, I told you to stop paying attention and focus. And this week, I'm telling you what to focus on, which is focus on feeling and not on seeing. Okay? That's a job. You know why? Let me look. We just gonna cut to the chase. This is why it's hard, and this is why I'm telling you how to do it. Okay? Because we got plenty of instructions on what to do and how to do it, but there are not enough instructions and not enough people yelling from the rooftop the instructions on how to be. Okay? Because that's an art form as well. And ain't nothing wrong with doing. We're not gonna not doing. But what we can't do is do all the time. Right? We can't do all the time. So look, what I felt like was missing from last week was me not clarifying why it's so easy to prioritize your physical senses over your feelings. Right? I feel like that was an important nugget that I left out. And so that's where we're beginning today. The reason why you prioritize your 5 senses over your feelings is because you're disconnected from your feelings. Whether it was culturally, that was a whole phase of get out your feelings. That was a whole thing. You and your feelings, I feel some type of way about it. I was just telling my homie yesterday, that is such an ugly phrase to say so to somebody. I apologize if I made you feel some type of way. That is so rude. That disconnects not only the person who said it, but that's like throwing a dagger at somebody else. Like, don't do that. Look, if you don't honor how you feel, that's cool, but leave me out of it, boss. If you just don't care about how I feel, say that instead. You know what I'm saying? So look, the reason why you prioritize what you experience through your 5 senses instead of what you're feeling is because you're disconnected from your feelings, buddy. So that's why when I say the reason why things ain't working out is because all you is focusing on is the fact that things ain't working out, and you can't seem to focus on what's in your heart or something else, because people be quick to say, and people being me at one point in time, but definitely not no more, people will be quick to say, but this is happening right now, I gotta pay bills right now. So you mean to tell me you cannot stop, you can't focus on feeling good for 1 minute, you can't focus on something other than what we already know that's true. We already know. So why are we gonna keep looking at that empty, a low number bank account? Why are we gonna keep looking at that? Huh? That's crazy. We keep looking at that thinking if we put more effort towards that, it'll work out. No, maybe if you just take your attention away from it and focus on something else. Right? Start to feel good, and then bring your attention back to what you perceive as the problem, and I'm sure it'll go differently because you feel better. You see what I'm saying? So that's concept number 1. If you want to focus on feeling and not seeing, you got to realize what's happening. I gotta stop saying problem, because nothing that comes up as contrast in your reality is a problem. It's just something showing up for you to grow. But we're taught that it's bad or negative if we incur challenges. But it's like, you put the challenge there, you the one who want to see how bad it you is, but you start to blame the person, place, or thing that is the so-called challenge, instead of acknowledging how you feel. You repress how you feel, and when you repress how you feel, you have to project it out, and half of it has to go projected out, and the other half you hold on as trauma and pain in the body, which turns into dis-ease, sickness. It starts small with knots and tension, and then over time, if you don't deal with it, it becomes an issue. So now that we clear on what's happening, is we want to focus on feeling, and we don't want to put too much creed on what we experience in our 5 senses. Now that's not to say you're gonna be like, well sis, you just said stay in the present moment, so I got to be present in all my experiences. Yes, I am saying prioritize what you feel in your experiences. So I'm not knocking, being aware and being in your experience, but I'm saying don't put all your eggs in the physical basket. There are other things than the physical, like how you feel. Right? There are 4 areas of existence we got to tend to. The number 1 is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. These grow, they compound upon each other. So we're not saying good or bad, but we're talking about a spectrum. If physical is the beginning of the spectrum, and then spiritual is the end of the spectrum, I want to be more balanced and more so on the spiritual side than I want to be more so on the left on the physical side. But again, it's a spectrum. It's not good or bad. I just declared a preference. We can have preferences, but we can't go around deeming things good or bad. A preference means if I get stuck on either side, physical or spiritual, I'm not gonna have beef with me. I'ma still love me. I'ma still get rocky with me. You see what I'm saying? Or I'ma try not to treat other people that way. You see what I'm saying? So boom, we got that clear. We should be on the same page about that. And if you're not, you got to go back and watch the other video to catch up. Okay? Here's an example of how we do that. So I'm going to talk about how we naturally do it, and then I'm going to reinforce what I just said about what we should be doing. So one way that we automatically disconnect ourselves from how we feel is that we intellectualize our feelings through gossiping. And then we try to use that as processing emotions. Again, I'm only fixing my mouth to say this to you, cousin, because I've done it. Okay? Because I've done it. Okay? So we'll be quick to go through a situation. I'm going to use one that's clear and easy for a lot of us. We get cheated on. I've been there. Shocked. Shooketh. Okay? Instead of sitting with myself and really being honest with myself about noticing the red flags. Where did I cut off my feelings and start prioritizing how she felt so much that I didn't even see what was happening? You know what I'm saying? When did all of this go on? Instead of really doing that, instead of getting with some journaling, instead of crying it out, you know what I did? I told this person and this person and this person and this person, and we gossiped about it, and we did it. Like, I never sat still. And a lot of us do that when we're in the physical existence because we're not used to processing emotions. We just used to intellectualizing them. We just used to talking about it. You know what I'm saying? And so we intellectualize how we feel, and we try to use that as like, oh, I processed it. I talked about it. I got through it. No, you just gossip with your friends about it. And then, in my case, I literally, 50% of it was that I literally thought, like, okay, I'm working through it. Because I'm talking about it. I'm cool. It ain't bothering me. I talked about it. I know what's up. I seen what happened. You know what I'm saying? I got my answers. You know what I'm saying? That was 50%. And I genuinely thought, let me get some. I genuinely thought that I was working through it. The other 50% was that in effort to absolve so much of the negative feeling that I was feeling, I wanted her to feel just as bad as I did. And so I knew that it would do something to her if people in the community knew what she did, because she prioritized her reputation, right? So part of me was being vindictive. What ended up happening was, because I didn't sit with how I felt and I wasn't honest with how I felt, I essentially just end up doing what she did to someone else, to 2 other people, right? If we're being honest about it, right? And so when we don't focus on how we feel, we end up projecting our experiences onto other people, onto our other experiences. We don't learn to let things go. It creates chaos, right? Because we are trying to get it out, but we are not. We start to demonstrate. Thank you, y'all. We start to demonstrate our pain in ways that are unhealthy. But if we just would have took that beat to process how we felt, we could have then focused on what we wanted, which is So remember, I said I'm gonna show you what we shouldn't be doing, and what we should do. Now, what we should be doing instead is focusing on what we want. When we get fixated, I learned, when we get fixated on the person, we block the blessing, and then we end up becoming or drawing near the same thing we're trying to get away from, because we're not practicing compassion and we're not using the situation properly. But when we experience such contrast, when I experience such contrast, I should have said, after we process an emotion, I should say, well, this was unfortunate. I ain't like this, but this is teaching me what I actually want, how to choose better partners, how to I outwardly express what works for me and what doesn't. It allowed me to, it should have allowed me to be very clear about what I don't like, so therefore I could go after what I actually wanted and focus on that. But instead, I was so wrapped up in the physicality of my experience, I just focused on more of what I didn't like, and I talked about it so much that I just brought it near. And instead of it being near and different, I was now the perpetrator. You see what I'm saying? So what you focus on grows. So this is why I'm saying focus on what feels good. Focus on your feelings instead of focusing on your physical experiences. Instead of focusing on your physical accomplishments. Feel good and then say, now what? Feel good and say, now what? But too many times we too busy talking about what happened in the past that we can't say, now what? But if we addressed our feelings, we would always be prepared to say, we will always be prepared to say, now what? I'm ready. Now what? What's next? Right? So that's example number 2. Number 3, how to do all this. How? You was like, I'm sure you was like, all right, sis, I get it. It sounds sweet, but how you do? Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Look, you have to. It's not easy, and it's a process, and you have to believe in a process in order for this to work. If you see what I'm saying? If you don't believe processes work for you, then you ain't gonna see this working for you, right? And so look, you gotta prioritize how you feel over, okay? You gotta prioritize how you feel over what you experiencing. Go with the gut. You know when they say gut feelings? Follow the gut feelings. Follow the gut feelings. Stop making decisions from your mind. Because when you make decisions from your mind, from your physicality, your brain can only do 3 things: describe, compare, and measure. Feelings do much more. Much more. And they're much more than those 3 things. I don't know how else to make that clear without the gesture. It's all-encompassing when you involve your feelings into it, when you involve your inner child into it. We could call it whatever. When you involve God into it, when you involve spirit into it, we could call it whatever, right? But that's what we're talking about. Allow your mind to step aside sometimes and invite the fullness of who you are, which is your feelings, to help guide and navigate you through life and through these experiences, so that you can focus on what you actually want and manifest that in your life and stop getting what you don't want, right? Okay, so the how-to again: prioritize how you feel, go with the gut, follow your instincts, versus always trying to describe, measure, and compare. Stop trying to do that. And normally when you describing, measuring, and comparing, you doing that in somebody else's reality, meaning you're not minding your business. You worried about what somebody else doing, and you trying to measure that against what you're doing or what you're experiencing. Instead, if you would just follow what feels good, you will always be in your right place, in your right mind, because you're doing what works for you, and you will be not worried about what other people got going on, unless it affects you. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying, big boy? Now, once you learn to prioritize how you feel, you got to realize, you really got to realize this, that emotions are a gift. They're a gift. They are meant to guide you through this experience. With that being said, we got to be on the same page with this. They are meant to be illogical. The moment you try to make sense out of how you feel, that is intellectualizing. So leave it at the feeling. Let it be sadness. Let it be joy. Let it be overwhelming. Because once you allow those things to come and you let them go and allow them to pass, you are free from it. But when you decide to turn your gaze and stay stuck there and focus on it, you're only going to bring more of that into your life. You see what I'm saying? Don't that just make you giddy? Because you can, this is simple. You done harder things, dear one. You have done harder things. Okay? So, that's it right there. We done. So look, if you are ready to receive the support you deserve, holla at me. Let's just hop on the line. This ain't no sales call, no none of that. Let's just connect. Share your story just like I'm sharing mine. Let me know what's worked for you. You see what I'm saying? Because you're just supposed to take this information and freak it in your own unique way. Because you are a unique stream of consciousness. So do you, boo. Until next time, I love you. Peace out.